This is Real Race Talk from Texas. It's the Revved Up Sports Show. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
It is a Tuesday, hashtag Real Race Talk. From Texas, it is the Revved Up Sports Show, and we are glad you're with us. Still social distancing, just a little bit longer. I guess the Rona's still going on.
Hadn't heard about it lately.
I laugh, but man, Bobby Chaffee down south, Rodney Rodriguez up north. All of you, glad you are with us as Aaron Tippin brings us in, where the stars and stripes and the eagle flies. A little bit of good American pride right there as we get set to another radio extravaganza going on. And, just so many things that are happening in our crazy world. Hopefully everyone is well. Bobby, what's going on down south, my man?
Oh, just another typical Tuesday, really. Just trying to figure out exactly what was going to be for dinner. And kind of checking out the TV, although it's going to be weird to have not race cars on the TV for about another 4 or 5 days. That's
right.
going to be kind of weird.
Yeah, that I think all the fun is over. The fun with that is over because we're now getting into more of a regular schedule now to where NASCAR will just be on the weekends. And they really have done a nice job with filling in the gaps right there. And I mean, now it really is normal again. I mean, hell, it's like it was never gone at this point. But ratings continue to be good, and after Bristol, hell, we got the old Bristol back. So people are pretty fired up about that.
Yeah, Bristol. I really enjoyed both Bristol races. The Cup race on Sunday, and then the Xfinity race on Monday night. That was one of those that you knew was going to be fun. You could tell just by the excitement. Anytime you get Noah Gragson together with close to a victory and next to someone. With a lap or two to go, you know something crazy is going to happen. And unfortunately, man, you don't hate to see it any day, but man, I bet that competition meeting this morning at Junior Motorsports was a lot of fun.
Man, you know it. When you get guys that get mixed up like that's going to cause a situation. And what I like about it, though, you see the veteran there in Allgaier, where he's not going to do anything off the wall or anything. Didn't make any comments or anything that's clickbait material for today. He said actually his words were there's a lot there's bigger things that we need to be worried about right now. I'll talk to him later. So I'm sure all that's going to get worked out. But Gragson, that dude right there, he's trying to be a star, I can tell you.
He's trying to be. Speaking of stars, what was your take on the Busch brothers being there doing the color? I thought there for a while that Adam Alexander just got smart. He just let him go because they didn't have the experience to know when to talk and when not to talk. But I think it was entertaining enough. I thought that Kurt Busch has done it before and done a pretty good job, but for the first time that Kyle Busch has done it, I thought you had a little bit of the sibling rivalry to add to it that actually ended up making it a little bit more fun.
Yeah, that was kind of nice to hear the banter back and forth and poking fun at each other and all of that. And when it all comes down to it, I mean, both of those guys are really, really good racers. So to hear them explain and walk through, both of them, a lot of success there at Bristol. So to hear them, get that out as to what was going on with the race and all of that, I think they did extremely well. Kyle Busch, it does seem like he has these guys are trained well. I mean, that's what's different now. We talked to Bob Jenkins the other day, and if you have not heard that interview that we did on Saturday, you need to go back and find that one because that is really, really good stuff. But, like when Benny Parsons and Buddy Baker and these guys transition to the booth, I mean, it's like, boom, get in. No training at all. These guys, they prepare them for it, and you hear it. It shows when they get on the air.
To me, the modern day stuff is kind of like when you think about Dusty Rhodes back in the day, right? When the NWA would roll into town, he was the talker. He was still probably one of the best talkers in the business. Some of these guys have been trained how to do it to a certain extent, but then you have your people that are just natural. I mean, Benny Parsons was a pretty average guy that did extraordinary things, but he knew how to describe it. He had that rare gift of being able to describe it and actually just have the normal personality that it takes to do color on television, because not everybody does it. Every sport's just a little bit different, but just because you get out of a race car, look at Jeff Gordon. as good as he was, this is now his third year
Yeah.
of doing color. He's finally seems like he's more comfortable now than he ever has been doing color there with Mike Joy.
And it's tough because the thing about it is when you're in the race car, you have to be, I mean, your senses have to be so keen because you have to be ready. I mean, everything happens so fast. But when you get up there and you try to describe what's going on, and that's the other thing that Bob Jenkins was talking about, painting that picture. And when you have to do that, it's extremely hard. And Gordon is really falling in line there and figuring that out. But it is hard. And Harvick is really good at it. Boyer right now is kind of going with the humor and all of that is what's getting him by. He may need to get a little bit better on explaining the X's and O's with all this stuff, but it's very hard. It's a hell of a lot harder than people think.
Well, some people just make it look easy. Not that we've ever made it look really easy, but there are some that are just naturals at it, and it's really not as easy as it seems. Whether you're on either side of it, whether you're on the play-by-play call or you're on the color side of it. Some people just have a knack for it. Other people don't. Even if you watch like our friends over there at the Cornhole League, the American Professional Cornholes, whatever they are, even they have a play-by-play guy and a color guy. So it's interesting to see that. So I say about it the other day, everything that anybody does as a hobby has some kind of professional sports now. Whether it's cornhole, you've got the only thing that's not out there is like washers, right? Bowling's coming back real big on Fox on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun to watch. But I think everything except for washers is now a professional sport. I'm sure there is a washer tournament, American Washer League or something like that. But I don't know.
Sounds like something that we need to talk to Jason Schaefer about down there in Hayes County. That guy can put on. That dude can put on a washer tournament right there, so he may be missing his calling. And I see the social bullying already starting there on the Facebook feed. Our man Whitaker over there checking in with the nice comment calling us ladies. So that's nice. That's good. That's a good thing right there. I mean, unless he thinks there's thousands of women, on the thing. I did get a haircut.
Maybe.
I did get a haircut. So I don't think that's going to make the women listen. Bobby, did you see, and I'm going to play the sounder just because I have it pulled up. I don't even know if this is anything that's been announced as official, but rumors around the new the next round of NASCAR stuff. You'd have June 27th, 28th, Pocono doubleheader, which that's nothing new. July 5th, Indy. July 12th, Kentucky. Charlotte All-Star Race on July the 15th. July the 19th, Sunday, July the 19th, Texas Motor Speedway is rumored from our man Adam Stern. So there you go. There's your first race with fans, I would think.
You don't think they're going to try to do Indy with fans?
Well, yeah, I would hope. And probably even maybe Charlotte. I mean, maybe Charlotte they will. I don't know, with the July 5th Indy, I don't know, but Indy 500, they better because that one. So what'd you think? Speaking of the fans, so we talked Saturday and last week about the no fans of Bristol. What'd you think about that? What'd you think of the parabolic views and everything about that?
It wasn't as bad as I thought.
I
Maybe
know,
just
it wasn't,
because
yeah.
we've seen it so much the last couple of races. I mean, yeah, this due to the nature of the camera shots, you were going to get some that were going to show you empty grandstands. I think it didn't really. The drone shots were the ones that really surprised me the most. I thought they did way more drone shots than what I thought they were going to do by showing the whole place empty, from the parking lots to the camping grounds to the grandstands. So it definitely looked like a ghost town. But you know what? Once the cars got on the racetrack, everything was just about as normal as it could be.
Yeah, I got a nice message from one of those NASCAR lovers that said, "Hey, stands don't look that much different." Yeah, of course, you're always going to have that. So
yeah, always going to have that.
Maybe that's why we were used to it. Our friends over at the USMTS, man, they've got a busy few days coming up. Starting tomorrow, Wednesday, tomorrow they'll be at Lucas Oil Speedway. Thursday, Race 81 Speedway, Humboldt Speedway on Friday, and then Tri-State Speedway. So, I'd say we're back in business.
I think so. I think everything's starting to pick up and go back to normal. Obviously, we got a couple of more dates. We're really looking forward to the whole June 13th and June 20th dates coming up because that June 20th will be a special date in our hearts. It'll be the kickoff for Houston. I'm going to get confirmation whether or not there'll be fans in the grandstands, but I would assume there's probably going to be. I hadn't heard anything otherwise. Have you?
I would think that there should be. Everyone else is having fans in the grandstand. So I mean, pretty much now it's been cleared up. I mean, because they're starting softball leagues and all this other stuff is starting up. So I would venture to say that 25% is going to be totally fine. And I've seen a lot of tracks where, and of course it all goes down to what you report. I mean, if I've got a track, and again here that this is just. I'm just throwing these numbers out. I'm not telling people what to do. But if I have a racetrack that seats, 4,000, and I report that I actually seat 8,000, 25%, I'm damn near full.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't.
We've seen that.
I don't know if anyone's doing that or not.
We've seen that a lot of places over around, and it depends on whether or not you count 25% of your total capacity, your pit stands, and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I mean, there's places all around the country that are doing that. The one thing that I will say, just as racing advice, and again, the COVID-19 thing has calmed down, justifiably so, with everything else that's going on. At some point we may touch on some of that, but when you're at the track, I mean, what I would recommend is, everyone's taking pictures and doing videos and all of this stuff, and again, you never know who's going to see all that, and you never know when it's like a drug bust. When there's a meth lab, usually the law enforcement knows that the meth lab is there, and they're watching it for a while, and then they swoop in and take care of it. Not that racetracks are a meth lab, although they're that addictive, but try to act like you're doing distancing. Many are doing a really good job of it, and through the excitement, I think people forget. But spread out. I've seen some pictures from places around the country where they ain't distancing. Not that the protesters are, and that doesn't make one right, the other one wrong. But I care about racing, so spread out.
I mean, I think there was enough people that were spread out. You had your groups of people that were kind of congregated together. I was hanging out with a couple of founding members of the beer wall there on Saturday night up on the top row. So we probably could have stayed a little bit further apart, but at the same time, I only saw a couple of masks at Cotton Bowl, but that was from some older folks. But I guess the majority of the fans up in the grandstands, we told them use your judgment for yourself. It was highly recommended to wear masks, but a lot of people just didn't.
Yeah, they didn't, but I think what's going to happen here at some point is it's going to come down to, as this continues to loosen up, and again, we're seeing cases spike up and all of that, but in my opinion, more testing equals more cases. But what we're going to see is they're going to put it in our hands, like with everything that's happening, we take care of ourselves. So, if you're moderately healthy and you don't feel like you're at risk, possibly you don't do that. But then again, you give people space around you. But if you're more susceptible to that, you should probably take those little extra actions just to make sure that you're going to be okay. And I would think that that's going to be the case moving forward here once this thing loosens up a little bit.
Yeah, it's still going to loosen up a little bit more. This next round, I don't know exactly when the governor's supposed to talk about it. I think he's going to move bars up to 50% capacity, maybe restaurants and stuff up to 75% capacity. So it won't be long. By the time we get to the midpoint of the summer, everything should be open, kind of like it would be for a normal summer.
Mm-hmm. Water parks are starting to open up, so that's good. That's good. Folks on the beaches need to remember about the cameras. I mean, although with all of that, though, I mean, there's no jurisdiction apparently to make arrests. I mean, they just tell you to spread apart if you want, and if you don't, I guess you don't. But that's up to you. But you should try to do the right thing. Just kind of everything. Just a whole perspective right now is think of your fellow person. Let's just show a little bit of respect. I know that's hard these days, but hey, at 7:05, we'll talk to Owen Pittman, who's out at Texana now. Hey man, that dude, he's been at this game for quite a while, and he's going to get Texana back going, and looking forward to that conversation with him. That dude has done every aspect of this business.
Yeah, he's done a lot. Only thing I don't know, I guess at one point he was a racer a long time ago, but he's done a lot of promoting and started some series and did some really good stuff there for CC Speedway back in the day. So he knows his stuff. He's been around.
Yeah. So that'll be good to talk to him, and we'll figure out what all's happening there. I know they have a race coming up here on June the 6th. That is O'Reilly Night at the Races, so we will talk with him about that. But congratulations to all the tracks that did get their weekends in here this past weekend. I know out at Cotton Bowl it was a good show there. Lots of factory stocks. Very action-packed night of racing. A little bit of a late start there, so it drug out just a little bit later than they wanted. But a really good show there. Good car count throughout. Other stuff, Bubba Pollard wins the Pro Late Model race over at I-44. Not all that surprising that Bubba goes out there and wins that one. And one hell of a super late model racer is Carson Hocevar wins that one. A little bit of a stunner right there in that one.
I think it really was. I mean, that was a stout field of super late models. Although, did you get to see the thing now where they are going to allow the new body style, those new 5-star body styles there for super late model competition?
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. It was bound to happen. I mean, there's nothing that you could say that you didn't think it was ever going to happen. But I think CRA, Southern Super Series, is the only one that's going to have a 25-pound weight penalty for the new style bodies. But other than that, CRA and the other groups are going to, CRA and cars are not going to have any kind of weight penalty. So it'll be interesting to see. I can't wait to see some of those bodies side by side. If they look as good as they do with the late model stock cars, those super late models are going to look good come the Derby.
Yeah, they will. They're going to look very, very good. And super excited also this weekend. Our friends over at the Cars Tour will get cranked up and finally get their season back underway again. So we might have to talk to Jacqueline, maybe get her back on and wrap all of that up for us once they get going. But yeah, Cars Tour and all of that. So we are seeing that momentum going forward once again. We're getting cars on the track, and it's just a matter of continuing to do what needs to be done. 5 Flags is up and racing. That double header is coming up. So just glad to have the sport with a little bit of energy, and we really are. I mean, our sport is the one that really is leading the way, and it does start with NASCAR. NASCAR has figured out a way to get these races done, get them done with the precautions that they need to do, and they're doing it effectively. They're getting good TV ratings, and everybody else is following suit. Baseball's talking about getting going. Basketball, NFL wasn't going to stop anyway. So I think mainstream modern sports is starting to get moving once again.
Well, I think NASCAR showed it's possible. Obviously, the TV money helps out a whole lot because you have if anybody didn't realize how much TV moves the meter, like people complain, oh, why does it start at this time and why is it on this network versus being on that network?
Yeah,
you just found out why, because it's the TV money. It's those billions and billions of dollars that they pay every 4 or 5 years to get the TV rights to these races, and now you get to see behind the curtain a little bit because that's the best way this stuff has turned out is because of the TV money.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and there is lots of it because you still see. What I was curious to watch as this started again, to see if maybe we weren't going to have quite as many commercial breaks. And I know people don't like the commercial breaks, but that's part of the business. This is a business. So we're still seeing those. I mean, all of that is still firmly in line. It's still a lot of the advertisers that have been around for, several number of years. So that is good that energy is still there, and that dedication by the advertisers is still there with NASCAR. Of course, right now it's probably even bigger because, I mean, it really is. And I get so frustrated when I do hear people say, well, there's not any sports on. I'm like, yes, there is. There's one sport on right now. But baby steps. We'll get everybody there.
We'll get everybody there, but eventually you're going to see with the TV money, I really haven't noticed that big of a difference since they came back. Everything looks the same. Everything sounds the same. The cars on the racetrack look identical than they did before the whole COVID-19 breakout. Everything seemed normal. The only time it doesn't seem normal is like yesterday during the Xfinity Series race. When it was over about 8:45, I looked down and realized, damn, it's Monday. It's not, that's the only difference is after the race was over. It's like, crap, I've been sitting here watching this race live on Monday night. Yeah,
and I like that concept. I mean, I really do like that concept, and it'll be interesting to see. We've still got that date coming up, the Martinsville race. I guess that's next Wednesday. That one there, we talked about it on Saturday. That is going to be a huge one, man. I wish they could find a way to get that on network. I mean, I know that they've got all of their obligations with all of those shows that people like to watch for whatever reason, but I would love to see that on network TV. I think that would just be tremendous, and that could be in line with that, 79-500 type of thing, where you have that happening, and then you have an ending like we had at Bristol. I mean, Bristol on the big Fox the other day, would have been huge. The numbers were
Oh, yeah.
good, but imagine that on the Big Fox.
Imagine that with that ending on the Big Fox, with the way that race ended. There's no way that I mean, you would get a ton more race fans if that's the first time they've ended up watching to see those two. As far as the power rankings go, we do the unofficial power rankings every now and then. Despite the results, I still have Chase Elliott on top of my power rankings, despite him not having any of some of the results to show for it points wise and wins wise. He's been a threat to win every single race since we've come back racing.
Solid. Rock solid. And with this, I got to tell you, I was super proud of Chase the other day. And think what you want about Joey Logano. The guy can race his ass off. He's like Denny Hamlin, where a lot of people dislike him. But, I mean, when it all comes down to it, racing, he's really, really good. But, you know, Joey Logano wanted an apology there, and Chase wasn't giving it to him. I mean, I guess eventually he did. I guess Joey had to get it out of him. But it, like, Joey, come on, man. I mean, flip the roles there. That was an aggressive move right there. Remember Carl Edwards when he made that pass on Jimmy, went up and hit the fence over there at wherever that was. So that was a ballsy move right there, and it's good to see Chase doing that.
It was good to see the whole thing. I mean, you knew it. It was one of those foreshadowing moments when they started racing side by side and they come through. You're like, oh, damn, they're about to wreck. And the only person that was really surprised was about it was Keselowski, because I didn't realize that his two tires with the left side tires were going to do any good, but I guess they worked out. So far, he's lucked into 2 victories, but hey, it doesn't matter. They don't have the asterisk by him when it says luck, when it says rain or anything else. It says that you won the trophy.
Yep. Win is all that matters, and Brad does have 2 of them. Clint Boyer, second place. Jimmy Johnson into third, so you got a couple of the old dudes getting into the mix right there. Jimmy Johnson gets crossed up there with Ricky Stenhouse. I know a lot of people are going to be saying this and that about Jimmy, but I really like, at first, when Jeff Gordon was breaking that incident down, I'm like, okay, that's his guy, you know, whatever. But when you go back and you watch it several times over and over, Gordon explained it right, and that was a racing situation. I mean, Ricky had to get out of the gas. Jimmy had nowhere to go. He run right into him.
That's definitely, we were actually having text back and forth on that subject right when it happened.
Yeah. So it is what it is. It was one of those racing things. We did get the old Bristol back, and it's good because at first that peanut butter and jelly wasn't working very good at the beginning. Those guys, they weren't getting up in that groove very well.
Well, I think what's funny is everybody wanted the old Bristol back, but when's the last time Bristol's had 2? And you could almost say 3 grooves on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, because they had all 3 different lanes rocking and rolling through most of the day. But, Bristol just 1 groove down there at the bottom. And then they complained about 1 groove all the way at the top. But whatever they did, the way they applied it, they just need to do that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, they really do, because the racing was good, and it was good. I mean, it was very, very good. Both days, I thought it was good throughout most of those races. Programming update coming up next Monday. Next Monday, 7 o'clock on this show, on the Revved Up Sports Show, we will talk to Bill Lester. And for those of you that may not remember Bill Lester had a career in the NASCAR Truck Series, NASCAR driver. We're going to talk to Bill Lester, and that's going to be a really intriguing conversation just because of everything that's going on. And I think that's going to it'll shed some insight onto just how maybe the intricacies, the inside of the business, I think. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to talking to Bill. Reached out to him today. He graciously reached right back out and got that put together. That's next Monday right here on the show at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, good get for the show. Be interesting to talk to Bill. He's got a sports car racing career too. Did a lot of sports car racing. So, to get him to talk about the state of the sport there with sports cars, see where that's at.
Yeah, and that's really the thing about it. His career has been, it spans back into the late '80s, into the early '90s. I want to see what he thinks just about how it has changed, because he hit this sport right in the heyday of it, and a lot of folks, when they talk about NASCAR racing, the heyday is different. I mean, honestly, I think the heyday was in the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of folks will argue with me and say that it was in the early to mid 90s, which, depending on how you look at it, the mid 90s when it came to television and energy and new eyeballs and everything else, it probably was. But when we talk about back in the day and all of that, where I'm talking about was the heyday. But it'll be good to hear from him, because he's going to shoot us straight.
That's what it is. Real race talk all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be coming up here next Monday. Be sure to check in for that one. We'll get that on social media and get everybody checked out for that one. So Owen Pittman coming up in just a little bit. We'll talk to him, Texana. So do you think, Bobby, should Chase have apologized as soon as Logano came walking up? Should he have been like, oh, sorry, man? Or did he do the right thing? I think he did the right thing.
He might. He should. Well, we don't know the exact conversation. Obviously, we can only read drivers' hand signals when they get into conversations like that. I think maybe
we can't read their lips these days.
Well, it depends on. Well, yeah, especially with the mask on, you can't really see.
Yeah.
It's funny how they do the interviews without the mask and nobody gives them grief. But as soon as they sit there and they go take their victory lane photos and they jump out of the car, they've got the mask on. I've never really totally understood that, but that's not for me to determine. But I think maybe he could have been a little bit more apologetic, like, hey, hey man, shit happens. I got into you. It's a racing deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if that works as an apology, but probably better than saying nothing at all.
Well, I can tell you last night that somebody told Noah Gragson really, really fast while he was sitting there messing around with his hair and trying to be funny about all that. I think somebody said something about go get your mask because it was like, oh shit. He went right back to the car and got it. So somebody got in his ear there.
I think they did. Of course, he was also got in the ear of Kyle Busch. I thought that was great when they did the in-car interview. And he was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, that was that was really, really good. That was really, really good. I did enjoy that quite a bit. Also coming up on Saturday, June the 6th, we will have our return to IndyCar racing as you will have the Genesis 300 over at Texas Motor Speedway, even though that Governor Abbott says fans are okay or, fans are allowed. Eddie Gossage, as he said on our program, you can catch those archives at hornfm.com. Drawing a blank there. Had a cycle class before that. That's why I'm a little scatterbrained here before. I usually ride in the morning. I did it before the show. So if I'm like not making any sense, that's why. But so no fans, but that's going to be a fun race coming up on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of fun to kick off the 2020 NTT Data IndyCar Series. So, not a better place to kick it off than one of their most exciting races of the year there at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yep. Got to wish a happy birthday to my oldest daughter, my little Kendall. My little buddy turned 20. 20 years old today, Bobby. Damn.
I'm just thinking one more year, she'll be able to go out and buy your beer for you.
That would be much welcomed. I'm sure she could probably pull it off now, but anyway, yeah. So I was thinking about that today. I'm like, man, 20 years old. My, how time flies. Jeez Louise, for crying out loud. It's man, you look up and they're grown and flying the nest and gone. Got another one heading to college and damn, getting old. That's why I had to cut my hair, man. You should have seen that pile of gray when I got my hair cut the other day.
I know the feeling. I got my hair cut and I still have the little gray tips. I said, "How can you cut the gray out?" She's like, "We got to shave your head." And I was like, "Well, no, I guess I'll just keep people a little bit more gray."
I'll just deal with it. Yeah. And the funny thing was, I mean, like in the sideburns, I had the sideburns still sitting there, and she's like, "You want me to do something with the sideburns?" I'm like, "I mean, the sideburns is what I was hoping you would start, for crying out loud." But yeah, so happy birthday to Kendall, and Chloe's birthday is coming up on Thursday, so we got them back to back. So. Man, I'll have adults. I'll have full-grown adults. It's scary, man. All I have left is 2 dogs, 2 kids. My kids are my dogs, man. Jeez, it's not a bad thing.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Wait till you get the whole empty nest thing, and then you're really going to be like, well, am I old or not?
I was, and we had this conversation the other day on the Saturday show. I was talking to somebody. As a matter of fact, it was today, and we were talking about the COVID, about the Rona and everything. And they were talking about getting out and doing stuff or whatever. And they're like, "How have you adjusted to it?" I'm like, "It's regular life for me." I'm like, I like being at home. I mean, I know I need to get out more, but I'm like, shit. I mean, it's been normal. I mean, the only thing that I haven't done. We would go out to eat before, and we still haven't done that. But I mean, I'm home. I mean, I'm just at the house. Me, my dogs, the radio desk, and a beer, and I'm good.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So anyway, waiting on Owen. So Owen will be calling here shortly. I'm looking over. I forgot what time I told him. I think I told him 7:05. So he'll be checking in at 7:05. Let's see, what else? What else can we talk about to kill time? I don't know what else.
So you
Bristol.
want to run some commercials for those high-paying commercials we got?
Actually, what we need to remind folks is coming up. We go to Atlanta, and I've heard Fox talking about Atlanta as being the most treacherous track on the circuit. Have you heard those commercials this week? They're saying it's the most treacherous track. So this will be one where we have the triple header. So we'll actually have trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. So that's going to be going on. And I think this is going to work out nice for Atlanta, because I think Atlanta's finally at a point in the schedule to where they're not going to get rained on. I don't know the exact weather in Atlanta for the weekend, but this isn't March, and March is when they get rained on all the time, or the last part of February. I think here at the beginning of June, they may have found their groove on the schedule.
Maybe if they stay on the schedule. There was always, we hadn't heard anything about the 2021 schedule. Hadn't heard anything about the 2021 next gen car. So I'm about a feeling they're going to end up pushing all that back to 2022.
Yeah, and that I'm sure that will be the case. Just to put that back, because these are unforeseen times, and I mean everything has had to change. Maybe not a bad thing, because the racing, the competition has been pretty good. So anyway, that's this weekend. Speaking of this weekend, it is O'Reilly Night at the Races over at Texana. That's going to be good. And as we hit the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, we're going to talk to the man that is running the show there. Not his first rodeo, taking a racetrack back to life and making it great. Let's talk to Owen Pittman. Owen, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How y'all this evening?
Man, we are doing phenomenal. Just chewing the fat here, talking about racing. So we always ask, everyone good throughout all this mess over on your side?
Oh, yeah. No issues over here.
That's good. That's a very good thing. Glad to hear that. So let's talk about, just as you guys have gotten fired up, Texana. Is everything good in place? I know you had one issue there before with light, a light pole, I think, got knocked over. All of that got resolved?
Oh, yeah. One of our racers, Cord Beard, and he owns a company called Magnum Services. They're a huge help out there, and they came out and put up a new light pole for us, mounted some lights, rewired the situation, took care of the whole thing for us. It's a big benefit to have people like that when you live 2 hours away. It's pretty hard to just run down the road and work on your track when you're 2 hours away.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, and before you came on, we were talking about all the different things you've done in racing. So, for those who don't know, as Rodney said, not your first rodeo with Texana. Talk about your background and kind of how you got to where you are right now with running Texana.
Oh, that's going to show some age. Started years ago. I actually was racing mini sprints. And I spent a season doing that, and the series was kind of falling apart and not doing so well. So I don't know what got into me. I decided to just take it over and run it. So then I put that together, and within 2 seasons, we had 500 win purses. We had O'Reilly sponsoring us. We had a whole bunch going on. It got pretty good. And then I turned that over to them guys and walked away because I wanted to go play with San Antonio Speedway Modifieds. So I raced a season of those guys. And that's when my cousin, Wayne Orell, was hit by an ambulance, our fire truck there on pit road. So me and him sat down and started TAM, the Texas Asphalt Modified Series. We ran that for a few years there, and then I decided to branch off because Corpus Christi Speedway was being taken over by a doctor down here and needed some help. So I took to promoting that for a couple years. And then Gary Perry, Chuck Perry, the 115, Gary Perry came to me and said, "Hey, let's open the dirt track and get out of this stuff." And I said, "All right, let's do it." So me and him, I think in 04, 05, we opened South Texas Speedway back up. And we were there till 14, I think. 14 we sold to Ken Hobbs. So ran that for a good long time. Had a lot of fun. That was a success story for me. Obviously, we went from having 200-300 people, and we built it up. And our last nights we were running, we were averaging about 800-900 in the stands. So it was great. We had great car counts. It was a lot of fun. But the opportunity was there to kind of get out and move on. So I did that, and then got to helping Lawrence a little bit with go-karts out at L87 and playing with that and doing some announcing between Texana and I-37. So I like to announce. I have fun doing that. And became friends with the Dinsmans over in Texana, and decided I would, when they said they gave up, they didn't really just want to mess with it. Mm-hmm. Then I decided I would see if I couldn't keep a racetrack alive. It's kind of what it's about with me. I don't know that there's a whole lot of money in it for the effort or any of that. It's about the more racetracks that are alive, the more our sport thrives and keeps going. So had a pretty good night the first night, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and we were talking just before the first part of the show. We're speaking of the announcing, because Bobby and I both, have announced. Let's talk about that right quick. That job there, I think a lot of people just don't understand, and you do it extremely well. I love your work. I mean, I've heard you several times. Man, people just don't understand how important that job is to sit there. I mean, people are just watching this stuff, but to tell them what they're watching, it's just such a craft, I think.
Yes, I think that's part of the key. Over my career of running all this stuff and doing all this, also, me and Wayne Norrell built a lot of race cars. So to understand how the car works, understand what's happening on the race surface when it's happening.
Yep.
It's a huge benefit to the announcer to be able to tell the crowd that. And I think I'm not no fluent, amazing guy that talks well. I'm more of the knowledgeable guy that can explain exactly what the car is doing out there that helps the fan hopefully attach to, oh, that's why that's happening. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I try to work it anyway.
Yeah, no, you do. Just tremendous job.
Appreciate it.
So we've talked to the Dinsmans before when they were on, and we talked about the blessing and the curse. The blessing is that Edna itself as a racetrack is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You got to go through Edna to get to it. The curse is that there's not a lot of big business, big industry down there. Has that been kind of a barrier of entry for you to try to get some of the mainstream sponsors to support that little bitty track down there?
Yeah, it's tough. A lot of things, and there's some things that just were set up wrong. There's a lot to promoting and understanding how beer licenses need to function so you can go after beer sponsors and big corporate money there. There's a lot to how you structure your business to make it work for you and get the things you need. And we're in kind of in a situation there where we don't have that availability. And then, like you said, O'Reilly's came on board. They're probably the largest sponsor this year, which was kind of nice. But we don't have a whole lot of big sponsors. We have a bunch of our locals that have stepped up and own small businesses, which we all want to support all our small business through these crazy times. And those are the guys that helped us get it off the ground and get it going this year.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Owen, through all of your years of doing this, whether it's behind the wheel, behind the mic, running, promoting, I like to ask this question. The biggest changes, obviously the money. It's gotten a lot more expensive. Taking that one out, the challenges that you have as a promoter nowadays. What all do you face? I think people just don't understand that.
Oh, honestly, social media is a challenge. I'm always one to say I was going to be the last person to ever get a Facebook account. Yep. My wife got so sick of me using hers, I had to go get one. But the marketing tool that it is amazing, and the destructive tool that it is amazing. So that's a really tough piece. Going out and finding the sponsors from a racetrack to keep it alive and help the thing go and market the track through those businesses is difficult nowadays because everybody's a little tight on money. Everything's getting tighter and tighter. So those are definitely, and I think it rolls back to money, right? Those are the challenges. I have an additional challenge that I mentioned earlier is I live 2 hours away from a racetrack. So when you got to work every day, because I do work a 40-hour living, I'm in the engineering business, and I work every day of the week pretty much. So to try to make a trip up because you forgot the result sheet or something you're going to send to IMCA, or you forgot some forms, man, I'll tell you what, that's a kick. That's 4 hours of driving just to go get a piece of paper. So those are my challenges, and I took those on, and my wife made sure she told me I was going to have those problems when I did this.
Oh yeah,
she was very clear with that.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm lucky to have a 20-year-old daughter that, like today, she ran up there for me, her and one of my nephews. Did all the stock inventory stuff, make sure we're ready to go for this weekend. check the track for me, see how much water we've gotten, how much rain we gotten, which the track looked phenomenal, not too bad at all. So we ain't got no issues with getting in karts and cars this weekend. So the weather's a big scare. You don't really know what you get.
Mm-hmm.
So luckily I have some help too sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. It helps.
So when we talked to a lot of promoters about the challenges of dealing with the whole COVID-19 and having to open and how many people can you have in the stands and all of that, what was your experience in that working with the local officials down there in Edna?
Man, this could come across in a couple of different ways, good and bad, I guess.
Yeah.
I had a good experience with our county judge. He's very straightforward, conservative, very, very honest, very good person, understands it. She sees it from the big picture. She's not too deep into the politics side. So she told me, really, she didn't give me any restrictions. She said, do your best to social distance. You might follow from a concession stand side, follow the rodeo side. Don't worry about what the governor said about the auto racing piece.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the rodeo side with concessions and some of that stuff. Do your best to social distance. Now, what I meant by the bad part of that is our first race, there wasn't a whole lot of social distance. I had no expectation. It's kind of like we went to Sam's Club to buy food, and we bought kind of for a couple hundred people night, simple night. Don't figure many are going to show up. And they showed up. The other piece that helped me was the Jackson County Sheriff, main deputy there in Jackson County, works for us. So he can kind of, him and his deputies were there all night, and they kind of walked around and tried to help with social distancing. Unfortunately, the crowd was so large that I don't think we had a chance. And being that she didn't really put a restriction, we didn't stop selling tickets. So we kind of got pretty full there. They still have only had 2 cases in Jackson County. So we didn't cause them to blow up at this point or nothing like that. And with 174 entries, obviously the cars travel from all over to get there. So that, you got all kinds of people coming into one facility. So the one thing she was very positive about was it is an outdoor venue. It's heating up. She feels like with the heat, it helps. So it helps to limit the spread. So she was pretty good from a judge standpoint of allowing us to get going. And I was very thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, it definitely doesn't hurt, to have those good relationships. I mean, it helps a lot, a hell of a lot. So let's talk about that opening weekend. I mean, I was seriously concerned for you guys because I saw the Sunday race, and I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, Sunday might be tough, especially with everything that was going on that weekend. And then I was watching the forecast. I mean, I love weather. So, you have to be thinking as all this is going on. Here I am, trying to get the weekend started, and the weather may not cooperate.
Oh yeah, about Wednesday, I was almost ready to throw in the towel because the weather just looked terrible. So you get that stress, that added stress, right? So the added stress of weather is an every weekend deal. It's happening this week, right? We're getting a lot of rain around. So as it gets thick, and then it starts playing it. Am I going to be able to race go-karts? Am I going to be able to race big cars? You never know what your week's going to give you with the weather. So that was definitely, it's always a stressful piece for sure.
Damn weather.
So, and you mentioned go-karts a couple of times. How important is it to get the kids involved in this sport at a young age, and sometimes even get some of the parents who don't have the racing experience before them, but put the kids out there and let them understand the ins and outs of this sport?
Man, it's huge to me. So the Valley, Rio Grande Valley, I went down there years and years ago when it was open and they were racing karts, and I saw it, and I was racing at South Texas Speedway, and I told Chuck Perry one day, I said, hey, jump on that maintainer and cut us out a go-kart track. Mm-hmm. He said, all right. So he did it. Well, by the next year, Father's Day, I think we had 65 karts running.
Damn.
And it's an economic impact too, because you're really paying them out in trophies mostly. We do some purses for them sometimes, but for the most part, you're paying out in trophies because they are kids. And that's what they really want. So we built that, and then you look at what was going on then. So Jared Moppin, he came out of go-karts running for us in the Valley down there. Cody Leonard, Caitlin Leonard, both come out of go-karts, Mason Castaneda. I mean, the list, it goes on, and it shows you what developed from racing a go-kart and understanding and being able to drive that to some of the most competitive drivers we have in the area in big cars today, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Owen Pittman with us on the Revved Up Sports Show hotline, Texana Raceway Park. So, Owen, let's talk about the current state, and this seems to be coming up a lot. I mean, I remember back when you're talking about in the Valley, those big, mod races that used to be down there in the Valley, and then sport mods become extremely popular, and now here come the factory stocks, man. What the hell's going on here?
Fairly economical, fairly straightforward class. I think that makes sense to people. It really is, and it's a good competitive class. That tire is a really evening factor. Running that big 10-inch slick and on 8-inch rims, it helps a bunch with that tire and takes the motor game out a little bit. Some guys, obviously, Dalton Faulkner, got it figured out, right? So they're really good. And there's others, Triton Temple's been super fast everywhere he goes. And down here in Corpus, there's a bunch of them that are good. Josh Sewell, Jamie Gear, there's a lot of guys. So, and of course, GW Hassan coming out of Texana, he's been winning a lot. We had a little extracurricular excitement with him last race, but he's always super fast anywhere he goes.
Yeah.
And he's a perfect example of economics in this thing, right? So he's a guy that's run late models, modifieds, limited modifieds. He's done it all, and today he's in a factory stock. Well, that's what he can afford, fit in, be competitive in, and enjoy. So that's what all racing should be about, right there. It's just, how do I be competitive, enjoy what I'm doing? That's the key.
Amen.
Why do it otherwise?
Right.
None of us getting rich.
Yeah. Oh, we're not. I figured you were sitting on bags of money, with all your years in doing this,
Yeah, I've given a lot of bags of money away.
So, and as a promoter, what goes? So we talked about the factory stocks taking over, and they're bringing in a big car count. And you got the go karts coming in, and they bring in good car counts, and the monetary figures work there. How for you as the promoter over the years, has your mindset been, does it come the cars before the class, or the class before the cars, or has each one of those decisions been kind of independent of the other?
Not sure what you mean, the class before the cars. Expand on that a little bit.
Well, like if you decided to go with like a pure stock class and there's not one, or a mini stock class, we'll use the mini stock class as an example, where it's not an existing class that you guys have or would have as a promoter. So you decide, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and open up a mini stock class, a little 4-banger class. Does the idea for the class come first, or do you want to see cars before you make the class?
It usually comes from the idea, and it usually comes from seeing what other people are doing, honestly. So we go factory stock, and there's a lot of push from the racer, obviously. I'm the kind that would like 4 classes. I was actually really enjoyed Texana 2 years ago. We had 4 classes of cars, and it was 10:30 nights, 10 o'clock nights, real smooth running. We could run through 4 classes, give everybody a good quality show, and go home. Then we added IMCA modifieds. Nothing wrong with that. Love them guys. And they turn up, they show up. And we added the E-mods, which hasn't really showed up at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's not the Densmans did. But when I took over the track, I kind of felt like this is what they had running. This was what was promised to race the next year. So I'm going to do what they were doing, because that was what they had kind of already set up, and these people have gone out and spent money. One of the most important things to me as a racer, how to protect them. It's kind of the USRA deal, right? So we went USRA this year real late. I don't know if y'all realize that, but we went real late to USRA, and it's kind of a play on I-37 and South Texas Speedway both had USRA. And the guys between those 2 tracks may never come visit mine because I'm not USRA. So it's kind of a pressure deal that I felt like in order to be able to get that Sunday show the way it was with a lot of car count and help myself, I needed to go USRA. But yet it was tough because my fight with USRA from day one, which I started with them real early, was the motor rules are going to change and everybody's going to be in trouble. And I'm not going to do one season of USRA here and then change the rules because some guy in the middle of the season may blow his motor and go to building a USRA legal motor that isn't necessarily the best motor he could have built if we aren't USRA the next year.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge to try to support your racers. Without them, there is no racetrack. So the challenge is how do I get these guys to come to the racetrack? How do I show them that, man, there's a ton of respect for them. They're working their butts off just like we are to put this all together. And then, do the best we can for them. I caught a lot of grief over the $100 license, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy a $100 license, then you got to pay a $50 registration fee at every track you go to. Next thing you know, man, you spend a bunch of upfront money that's really tough on the racers. So those are the battles as promoters we got to figure out, and how do we make it better for the racer to keep them cash in their pocket so they can come back and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is tough. I'm sure that is very tough. Owen, let me ask you, man. So you mentioned a couple of the other tracks in the area, and you've got Cotton Bowl, somewhat close to where I'm at. So how are those relationships with those tracks? I mean, there's so many dirt track racers right now, and really quality tracks. I mean, all of you guys. How is that communication really, really good? I know back in the asphalt days, hell, they didn't communicate at all. You guys working through that part?
Man, I can't lie to you. There's no real open line of communication between us and South Texas Speedway or I-37. I think I stepped on some I-37 toes when I put my schedule out on top of them. But my main focus was, how do I stay off of Cotton Bowl because of the relationship I have with them and the opportunity that on nights when you're not there, Rodney, then I'm going to go drive up there and help Joe and fill in as an announcer with him.
Yeah.
So I needed to focus on how to make all that work. So I think I gather I hurt their feelings a little bit. And then South Texas Speedway, Stevie and me don't have a relationship at all. He's actually sent advice. He works in mysterious ways sometimes, so he's had a few other guys that he has given some information to that gets it to me the way he wants to get it to me. But unfortunately, we're not in a situation where all these tracks can just sit down at a round table and focus on how do we get this going. You talk about the asphalt days, we did that.
Yeah.
I think Nick Holt called it T-Topher or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Texas Track, something from Motors Association. We met plenty of times. The difficulty was always rules.
Yeah.
It's always rules. It's your track allows this and our track allows that. Nobody wants to find that happy medium, which is kind of where we're at with IMCA and USRA, right? How do we put those things in place? Then everybody can go to all the tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. That is.
Talking to Aaron, I said, man, I sure wish Marianne would run USRA for the factory stocks, because there's no IMCA factory stock at this point.
Mm-mm.
So by sanctioning that pulls it to where all these other factory stocks around, the rules meet, man, we can go there on those weeks,
Mm-hmm.
Like last weekend, no other tracks down here were really running.
Yeah.
So a lot of opportunity there. And, I know it was late in the season when they looked at any of that, but maybe in the future, and if you had 5 or 6 tracks running all on the same sanctioning body set of rules, how great would that be? Drivers have a lot of options, and it comes down to how the track takes care of them is what makes them want to go support the track, which puts it on us as promoters that we need to bust our butts to make sure the racing's right. I put out a big post this week about how poor and upset I was about my last show, because it was really had a lot of problems. And I hate to start off a year with that, but I was pretty much overwhelmed with the amount of cars that were there. And
yeah.
I realized that I can't be down there making sure the burgers are warm and making sure the toilets are unclogged and checking on the fuel guy, making sure the tech guy's got what he needs, and then going over and dealing with the Dwarf Car Series and the cars. And it was real overwhelming at the same time. I'm the receiver guy. So I'm supposed to be talking on the receiver to these guys. Well, now I'm off in here unclogging a toilet. I ain't doing no justice to my racetrack. So we're going to make some changes. We're going to fix some of them problems and focus on the race surface. For me, That's where I want to be. Is I need to be focused 100% on the race surface. My announcer kind of didn't work out, so I've made a change at announcer. I don't have one, so again, I'm kind of focused on the racetrack and using the receiver, talking to the rest of the officials on one side, and then talking to the crowd. So
Damn.
It ought to be entertaining, like a chicken on a hot plate,
Yeah.
But you got to do what you got to do to try to do the best for your racetrack and your drivers.
Man, and if I didn't have I had a daughter that graduated in 2020. We're having a party for her on Saturday. If I didn't have to do that, I would go help. But again, I know that does you no good. But because somebody asked me after your first race, they're like, "I wonder why Owen's not announcing." I'm like, "I think he's got other shit to do."
yeah. A little bit other to do.
Yeah.
But I had some very good racers that called me, and I don't know. I watched Speed Pass. Okay, I purchased Speed Pass myself. I know y'all know what Speed Pass is. It's an amazing thing. So I purchased Speed Pass myself. I got on there and I watched the entire night, watched our mistakes, and then called a bunch of drivers. Did a lot of apologizing, a lot of mending. Hey, we screwed this up. We're gonna be better.
Yeah.
And every one of them said, you need to not worry about the toilet or the burgers being cold or whatever's going on back there, because the only thing we're going to remember is getting screwed on the racetrack.
Yeah.
When we drive out of there, if we get screwed on the racetrack, that's what we're going to remember next time we want to come to your track. Mm-hmm. And man, that hit home pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet it did.
So, and is there nothing more important than the relationship between the promoters and the racers? I mean, you've got to have that open line of communication between them. Like you said, they told you not to worry about the burgers and they wanted you to worry about the racetrack, but yet there's that medium where you do have to worry, because it's the same problem. If a fan comes up and is upset because the toilet's clogged, I mean, is there a way to make that sort out? Like you said, you're going to be like a chicken on a hot plate, right? What becomes more important, the racers or the fans at that point?
And for me, it's the racers. Without the racers, I have no show. Without them showing up and putting on a great show, I don't have anything for the crowd to even come to. So I can run them off with a clogged toilet, or I can run them off because there's no cars there to watch and they don't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's the racers. And then the second piece is the stands. And the crowd's usually important to the wealth and well-being of a racetrack. Don't get me wrong. They're an absolute must. But the racers are there performing for them, and us working with the racers to do that performance is the key. And then after that, we just have to have the right people. What I love about Cotton Bowl is they have a lot of the right people. They got some great support. Marianne, she has a team, and their stuff functions real nice. I'm just getting settled in with this team. I no longer have any concession employees after week one. I don't have an announcer after week one. But it's improvements. Don't get me wrong, guys.
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to do these things because I want it to be great. I think Texana's always been an awesome racetrack. People have enjoyed it, and it's always had some small problems, and maybe not pulled the best car count. So now, how do we get that place where racers want to go there? How do you turn that into the little jewel racetrack down south there that people want to drive to? Because it's, like y'all said, out in the middle of nowhere. That's kind of the goal, is how to keep improving. And we'll work every week to do that until we're done with the season and see where it goes from there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know you're going to be totally fine. And the one thing that I do want to say, Owen, our friends over at Race on Texas, great people. I've known them for a long time. I love the Speed Pass thing. It's really cool. I like being a part of it. I wish I liked the highlight thing that they did of your first night, and I know why they did the highlight thing that they did, but I wish they would have done that differently, because the racing was good. The racing was good, but they picked that. Got to be better there.
Yeah.
They need to do that different.
Yeah, I actually called Aaron. So me and Chris, David, and some of the Race on Texas folks have had our disagreements. We don't have a great relationship. I hate to say that, man. I'm starting to sound like I got a bad relationship with everybody on here.
Yeah,
really. We've struggled in the past. So Aaron from Cotton Bowl, he came to me with a Speed Pass and wanted me to jump on board, and he's done a lot of. He's busted his tail to help me And I can't say thanks to him enough. And he's pushed that whole deal. And I called him on that same subject. And it's funny, before I could really tell him, because I was kind of starting to feel bad, like, man, I'm a big whiner. I call this guy on whine every day. He's got me sick and tired of me about this race on Texas. And he said, man, are you worried that most of these tracks look like awesome racing and yours look like a boxing match? I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm calling about. And the one thing he said, and I don't know where you put this, guys, but the one thing he said is, well, that little highlight reel is performing 85% better than all the other highlight reels we put out.
That sounds like him.
Like,
yeah.
So then I'm like, I don't know if that's the right killing it though. I from a fan perspective, that's probably like, hell yeah, I'm going to go watch some of that crap. But from a driver perspective, it's, man, I'm not going to go down there. I get in somebody's left rear and I get monster truck down the front straightaway. Forget that, Ain't no good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just wanted to throw that in. I mean, because I've got the speed pass. I went back and watched, and it was good. I love the racing, but I was like, oh, why are we doing that highlight? But again, I'm not a producer, editor. I'm not none of that shit. So anyway, sorry, Bobby.
I'm with you. I felt the same thing.
Yeah, it's all good.
It's all right. We'll move on. And like I said, I hope most of those people that were in the negative portion of those videos have been talked to and understand, we're working to improve it and not allow that type of behavior at our racetrack. And, y'all know it's a fine line. That black flag comes out. It's a fine line between, there might be a lot of drivers happy with you doing that, and one driver never comes back because he's doing that. But
yep,
you got to find a fine line of using that black flag when it's needed and making sure that the racers are all treated fairly.
Exactly.
All right, Owens, we got a couple of questions before we let you go. Let's talk about your upcoming 2020 schedule here. What's some of the stuff that you have circled that you're like, you know what, not that all the races aren't important, but you got a couple of special touring series, anybody come to town that you really want to make sure that fans already start marking down on the calendar?
Yeah, SUS Sprint, obviously. Those guys, the SUS Sprints put on a great show last year there. We had them down for 2, and they got Rona'd out. So the Rona got them on 1. I'm hoping that Randy and them will pull us in for a second. But right now, July 18th, we got that one penciled down as a good one with the sprint cars. Off the top of my head and not looking at my schedule, the trucks are coming, and we have the dwarf cars a couple of times. And the dwarf cars kind of give us an interesting look because we already have a dwarf mod light division.
Yeah.
So we ran them both, but I didn't feel it was fair only running an 11 race season. And right now it's only a 9 race season until I add a couple more to our mod light class to let them off on the night the dwarfs come. And they only get to run 9 races all year. And that's a pretty limited schedule to accomplish a championship. So we run them both on the same night, and it is what it is. There's actually some great racing out of both divisions last week.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So let's talk about Saturday. You've got O'Reilly night at the races. Talking about O'Reilly, coming aboard there. That's always good stuff right there. What all you have happening Saturday evening out there?
Man, this is the holy cow. That first one was crazy. This one we hope is probably toned down a touch.
Yeah.
Event. Since it's a makeup, all we're bringing is our normal 6 classes and our go-karts. And don't really have anything special. Dalton Faulkner, in his interview after the race, said he would throw a couple hundred towards the factory stocks to the winner of the next one.
Nice.
For this race, June 6th. So I'm digging. I'm going to try to find a couple hundred more and put some money in the factory stock deal and see if we can get a decent car count out of them guys to come out and race with us. But other than that, man, we're going to try to settle in and have a really smooth night. Hopefully we're out of there by 10 o'clock, 10:30 at the latest. We make some good calls. We get things done in the appropriate ways and hopefully have just a real good night. Solid night's what I need.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know with Cotton Bowl, a lot of that's online. So do folks just show up, buy a ticket, go in, or is there anything special that you guys are doing with all that?
No, we're pretty normal, man. Honestly, we have a full concession of beer. We got $1 Budweiser and $1 Bud Light Saturday night. It's $12 to get in for adults, $2 for children 6 to 12, 5 and under is free. Pretty normal overall from that standpoint. We sell the tickets, they come in and they go enjoy some racing. So that's what it amounts to.
Wait, did you say $1 Bud Light?
Yes, sir. $1 Bud and Bud Light.
Damn. Well, that graduation party isn't that big a thing. Jeez. I like that.
We did $1. We did $1 Corona and $1 Coors Light the last one.
Sweet. Nice. I love it.
The Rona's sold hot.
The Rona. Absolutely. And still no new cases. So you're doing something right.
Yeah, no new cases. So
that's good.
I'm headed to Oklahoma on Thursday to watch a race. So I'm kind of a idiot when it comes to things. I got a race at my own track on Saturday, but I'm driving all the way to Oklahoma to watch the All-Stars, Tony Stewart All-Stars in Lawton on Thursday night. And then back and hopefully pull all this race together this weekend. But as long as we don't bring no Rona back from Oklahoma, we're all right.
Gonna be all right. Watch those Okies, though. You might come back with something else. But anyway, it is all good. Well, Owen, man, this is thanks for all the years, man. You're like Bobby and I. You just keep coming back for more. It's like get punched in the gut and punched in the jaw and just keep coming back. Just can't stay away.
For punishment.
I know, right? And really, you have a little jewel out there, and I know it's going to be good. Looking forward to watching you guys grow.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
All right, guys. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it.
Let us know if we can help anytime.
Yes, sir.
You bet. Take care. There he is, Owen Pittman. When you have a track, in Texas and you're trying to get that bad boy started up again, that's a good dude to put at the helm because he's going to give it all he's got.
Yeah, he's a man of many talents, definitely there. But I love the honesty about trying to determine, which is more important, the racers or the fans. I think he is at that right point now where it has to be the racers. He's got to. It's not easy to get down to Edna if you're not from Edna, Rodney. It is a chug from just about anywhere. And so I think that he has the right concept to, your hardcore fans are always going to be there, right?
Yep.
Your hardcore fans are there every single weekend. Those are the ones that help pay the bills. The ones that help make you money are the ones that decide to come back out after coming out once or twice. I think he's right with the fact that at this point he needs to get the racers to show up first. Because if the racing's good, the fans find great racing.
Yeah,
we've seen that over the years. Once you get all your kinks worked out, get himself a good announcer up in there, which we both heard about announcing issues there opening night. So hopefully Owen's one of those guys who'll get it worked out. If he's not doing it, I'm sure he'll find somebody to put in the right place in the right time. So, but I like his approach to it. Obviously, working with the Dinsmans on it. As we said, they were pretty optimistic when we had Rachel on here, about a half a season ago.
Yeah.
They're towards the end. They were optimistic about things that were going to happen up in 2020. So maybe they saw the foreshadowing with some of the Rona stuff coming, but I think it's just a matter of time for all the wheels start spinning in the right directions down there in Edna, and it'll be one of those destination racetracks.
And the one thing about it is the one thing that he doesn't lack, and I guess if you're going to lack when you start stuff out, and I mean the announcer thing. I mean, I've known a lot of folks that are like, oh yeah, I'll give it a whirl. I know I'll be good, and then you get out there, and I mean, this is a totally different animal. I mean, it really is. It's intimidating. It's scary, and you look out there, and it scares the hell out of you, even though the people can't talk to you. But the one thing that he did not lack was cars, and I'm sure that drivers and folks are going to be coming back, and with the USRA and everything in place there, that's a good base to have, and then he builds around the rest. So I know that he'll put those pieces in place because the thing about it, with as long as he's been at this, I mean, he knows a lot of people, and he knows people who know people. So he's going to get everything in place, and it is. I mean, it really is a good little spot. I mean, we can say that it's out, that it's out. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, but that's a good thing. I mean, because you can draw in from the different places and the relationship with Cotton Bowl and all of that. I mean, that's good. I mean, it's really good. I think that by the end of the year, whenever the end of the year is for racing season, I think they're going to be well on track.
I think so too, and I think that it's interesting that the track that's the farthest away is the one that he's working the most with, right? So it just goes to show you, it's like you said, back in the day, the asphalt, nobody wanted to change the rules. Nobody wanted to do anything because you didn't want to lose your cars.
Mm-hmm.
I think now you're starting to see more stuff getting more segregated than it was before. You've got your certain guys that you can count. You have a handful of guys that are going to go from track to track to track. They're not going to point chase. They're just going to event chase, decide they want to go somewhere. And so there's a lot more guys that want to stay at home now than want to travel everywhere. So I think that you're going to get a nice little niche of people that enjoy, running down there in Edna, and will continue to run down there.
Yeah. And that factory stock class, I mean, that really is kind of your bread and butter right now, where you put that thing together. I mean, there were 26 of them in the pits at Cotton Bowl the other night. I mean, there was extra money that was in place. I mean, honestly, what I would like to see with the extra money that was in place the other day, I would have liked to have seen that, stretched out instead of fastest lap of the race or any of this other stuff. I mean, give the guy in 10th place or bonuses there. But again, that's not my place to be doing that. I'm not the track operator, and I'm certainly not the person ponying up the extra money. If a person comes to you and hands you money, they can say whatever the hell they want it to go to. But I think that's the one where you can build with that, and they're going to continue to get cars out there. I mean, the modifieds are going away. I mean, there's obviously not a lot of those anymore. Sport mods. I mean, sport mods. Just when I started to think that they were losing a little bit of steam, I see the race that I saw the other night at Cotton Bowl. And that was just tremendous racing right there, and a good field of them. So they're going to be fine. It's like when you learn. It's like that little deer. When you learn how to walk, you're going to sit and stumble. He's going to take his lumps, and he's well aware of what they are, but he's up for the challenge, man. He's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you have to have the experience to know to do it. You just don't jump in your first time to promote a track that's got the got the reputation of just kind of being out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Edna has. But Texana Raceway, it's been around a long time. That track has been there for a hot minute. We are going to have to get you to go down there for one race this year.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get down there. I'm going to try to help him out. If we can figure dates out and do all this, I think it'd be really good. Hey, I just love his challenge, what he's looking to do there. Otherwise, that place is sitting. There's one over in Goliad that's just an exceptional track, and it's just sitting there not doing anything. I mean, I hear they're maintaining it, and that's damn sad that place isn't running. And I have been there, and that's it sucks. So. It's going to be good for them. It's going to be good for them. The beauty of it is, if Owen was taking over, and you said it right there, Bobby, if he was taking over Heart of Texas Speedway, people are very familiar with it. You just kind of streamline right in and keep moving forward. But this is one where it hasn't been the hotbed like Heart of Texas or some Kennedale, something like that. So it's something that he's going to have to build. And he'll have to build his team. And that's what he's talking about. Because Marianne does have a good team. I mean, Marianne's got people to do all these different things. She didn't have to mess with any of that shit and goes off and does, what she needs to be doing. So he'll get to that point, but it's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, it'd take more than one race to get all the wrinkles ironed out. So, but if anybody can do it, obviously Owen's got that track record to show he can do it time and time again, and I have no doubt that he'll be able to do it down there in Edna, whether or not he's 2 hours away or if he's up already in Oklahoma.
yeah, he's going to be good. But that's a racer right there doing his regular job, going to watch, and then going to do his show on Saturday. So that is June the 6th over at Texana. Check it out. O'Reilly Night at the Race. It's going to be a hell of a package right there. Follow them on Facebook, Texana Raceway Park. Get all your updates, everything you need right there. Bobby, did you realize we missed, I don't even think we talked about this. So Eli Tomac wins as Supercross comes back on Sunday. So they're all running all those races all in one place the whole rest of the summer. Eli Tomac wins over Ken Roxon and Cooper Webb.
I thought about it. It actually is on my DVR to watch. So now I don't have to watch it because you ruined it. Spoilers.
Oh, damn. Sorry.
Oh, hell, that's all right. I'll probably still watch it anyway just because I like Supercross action. But I don't think they're having I don't think they do the main production stuff like they were doing. I think it's more just highlight packages and stuff like that.
No. Obviously no fans in the stands for any of that, and all of those races, all that they will finish out all in one location. They're not going to be traveling. I did see, actually, let me take a look here, because I did see earlier when we were talking about all those new dates, I did see that, I don't know how many people that are still on here would care about this, but I did see that Formula One has actually dropped some dates. They'll start in Austria on July 5th and the 12th. They go to Hungary on the 19th, England August 2nd and the 9th, Spain August the 16th, Belgium on August the 30th, and then in Italy September the 6th. And I mean, I can imagine the logistics for them. I mean, they're not going, from South Carolina to North Carolina. I saw a lot of folks in the Austin area panicking about COTA. COTA's not until the end of November or middle of November, so that's going to be fine.
Yeah. COTA's going to be fine when it gets down that far.
Yeah, and that will be with folks in the stands. I don't see any issues there. I mean, it may be restricted just a little bit, but all of that will be fine. But Formula One getting cranked up. IndyCar gets going on Saturday, starting to get normal. And Marianne chimes in, sponsors make that call. Absolutely not disputing that. That is just me as a guy with an opinion that don't count for shit.
Well, welcome to the club. We meet once a month on Saturday afternoons.
Again, those USMTS races tomorrow, Lucas Oil Speedway Thursday, Race 81 Speedway Friday, Humboldt Speedway and Tri-State Speedway on Saturday. So, man, it's feeling normal, and I'm good with it.
It's starting to get there, isn't it?
Yeah. Hey, I do like how Owen, I don't know if he was listening before. I don't think he was, but I do like how he said social distancing didn't seem to be a priority for the fans.
Well, Cotton Bowl did good. They had every other row blocked off, and most people were maintaining that every other row distance. But yeah, it is. It's going to come down to people's preference, like we've talked about before. At least stay a urinal difference apart.
That's it. That's exactly right. If you don't want that splatter on your foot, you stay a urinal distance away, unless you got a heavy pisser, and then you're in trouble, and you just have to take it. So anyway, great show. I love that stuff from Owen, and that's that's where you see the full circle: racer, promoter, series operator. The guy's done it all. Race announcer, very good announcer. So, but seriously, yeah, it was. Somebody did mention to me it was like the Monday after his race. It's like, man, why don't you reach out to Owen and ask him why he wasn't announcing? I was like, well,
yeah, he probably had some other stuff going on.
There's a lot of things that goes into that. It goes back to our old theory, Bobby. You don't just show up, turn the lights on, the burgers aren't already made, all of that stuff. There's many things, lots of moving parts and pieces. And now more than ever, you need to appreciate your track promoters. I mean, all of them. And Gina, I've been talking to Gina here, obviously a lot, and she's getting fired up and ready to go, and I do want to applaud her, because I think the June 20th thing is going to work out really, really nice for her when it comes to getting the crowd in. And luckily with Houston, that's kind of like Cotton Bowl, where there's enough space to space people out, and I think that's going to work really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Houston holds a lot of people, so being able to, even at a 50% capacity, that's where she's at. It should be fine. It should look really good in the grandstands.
Yeah, 50% capacity. That place, it seats 20,000. I mean, it's going to work great.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
It's going to work absolutely great. Good show, man. This is fun. Tuesday night ain't bad. Tuesday night has been a rough night for this show, but did okay today.
It'll be all right. We'll get back to Mondays at some point.
Yeah, now that NASCAR's off of their let's get reinvigorated thing, yeah, I think we'll be able to do that. So. Good stuff. Thanks to Owen Pittman for checking in, and go to Texana if you get a chance this weekend.
Yep, my best of the racers at Texana, best to Owen, and his second race. I think he'll have it a lot better. Give it just time, and he'll have it really good. Yeah, going to work out really, really good. Friends, as always, be nice to someone. You never know what they're going through. You're going to feel better as well afterwards. Guys, just be nice. People have opinions. People have lots of different things. Let's just figure out a way to get along. This world needs some damn love, and we can just do what we can do. We are back next Monday. Bill Lester will join us. That's going to be some good stuff. That's coming up. Bobby, be good down there, man. All right, I do my best. Stay good up north. I guess I'll end up seeing you Saturday.
Real Race Talk from Texas, back on the horn on Saturday. Take care, friends.